Hi, my name is Megan Mason, and this is Module 14 Case Study. So the case study involves a school district of Lightville Community School District. It is a rural community, and it has 60% of its population living on farms. Currently, the district has 2 buildings, an elementary, which is K through 6, and a middle school, high school that is 7 through 12. The population keeps increasing each year by 2%, thus getting them to 1,200 students. This is making each of their buildings capacity level reaching their max. So the superintendent, Joe Rawlings, went to the school board and suggested the idea that they hire an architect to come in and look at the specs in order to know what solutions they should do in order to serve their students. So the solutions that the architect came up with was one, adding to the junior and senior high school and moving the 6th grade over from the elementary school. The second, build additions to both schools so no grades would have to move. Or the third option was to build a new middle school that'd be 6 through 8. When asked which one the architect would go for, he said option 3, building a new middle school. So Mr. Rawlings took that to the school board and suggested that be what they did. The school board ended up voting yes to the new middle school. However, during this whole process, there were 3 main groups that had their views on what the district should have done. The first group were the landowners. They opposed any additional constructions for the next 10 years because when the junior and senior high school was built, they were under the impression that the next 40 years they would have no new construction. And so they wanted to get rid of the debt that the district was already in. The second group were the existing residents. They favored either option 1 or 2 because it would be lower tax increases. And then the third group were the residents that were moving in with all these school-aged children, but they supported what the superintendent suggested with the new building. So let's look at who the case study is talking about more. First off, we already talked about Superintendent Joe Rawlings. Coming up is the new principal, which is Susan Potter, the Vision and Planning Committee, and the committee chair, which is Helen Burke, who is an English and Social Studies teacher. So to set up the conflict, as Miss Potter was hired as the new middle school principal, she had objectives to fulfill from Mr. Joe Rawlings. Her objectives were to hire teachers, build a curriculum, and to have an advisory committee. Now, her advisory committee, she decided to have 4 teachers and 4 parents, so she would have a diverse group. She believed that the vision and mission statement of the school should be a team development, not just her deciding what it should be. The committee also wanted her to be the chair, and she did not want that. So the committee agreed with her that they would be okay with her not being the chair, so they had Helen Burke step in. What they disagreed was that that they felt she should be able to write the vision statement because they know that she is a visionary leader. What is a visionary leader? A visionary leader is someone that has the best interest in a school or organization, and they can see and plan for the future, and they have this great ideal for the school. However, that's not what she felt that it was. She wanted to be one of the leaders that was more collaborative. She wanted to be a democratic group. So her and Helen Burke kind of went back and forth on it, and nobody was getting any grounds anywhere. So the issues are, well, were there legal or were there ethical issues? Well, to me, there were no legal issues. She was never discriminated. None of her contract was ever breached. Ethical issues, I could see she didn't want to be an autocrat leader as what they were describing. An autocrat leader is someone that just takes control and does everything. She felt that the mission and vision needed a diverse view, not just hers. So to synthesize the problem, Susan Porter is a newly hired principal for the middle school building under construction. In her attempt to form an advisory committee, her expectations of the committee be democratic, be consensus, develop a vision statement that collectively reflects the values and beliefs of the committee, and that all stakeholders would be given an opportunity to provide elements of the vision, was met with much resistance by the committee itself. So let's synthesize the facts. We kind of went over what it was all about. Let's review. The people involved were the community and the parents. They put in their input at the beginning of this case study. The students, they're running out of room to be educated. Teachers are moving from buildings because of this new form. The administrators are going over new administrators going over what they can do to help their students and their district. The committee was trying to be involved with the visionary statement and getting Miss Potter to control what's going on, and the school board voting on the new building and approving the hire of Miss Potter. The place again was Lightville Community. It's a rural community school. It is on a 65-acre site 2 miles out of the town of Lightville. And the program, it's a community school district. It has 3 schools now, an elementary K through 5, middle school 6 through 8, high school 9 through 12. So as of now, they have 1,200 students. Now, if we look at the curriculum for the new middle school, it needs to be in line with the elementary and high school so that when kids are transitioning from elementary to middle school to high school, it all flows smoothly. There should never be any gaps or hiccups. This takes us to reviewing and prioritizing the information. So, first, we have to look at this in 4 different categories. Are there any damages to stakeholders? Are there a stake in the income or outcome? Are there relevant stakeholders involved? And is there any more information we could get? So, yes, there are possible damages to the stakeholders. I felt they could have added more people. They could have involved the internal stakeholders, so that's the teachers, the students, the school district, the school board, district office, and then they also could involve more external stakeholders, which are business people, the taxpayers, any maybe local governments or reaching out to the government, stuff like that. Stake in the outcome, the people that are mostly involved in that are the students and teachers because they are the ones that will be in those buildings the most. Did all the relevant stakeholders get reached out to? I feel like some did, but there could have been more. So like the national network of partnership schools could have been involved if they were like going underway with the KISA, stuff like that. They could also look at other groups that are out there. More information. I felt like they could have gotten more input from other schools that may have gone through the same situation they did. Look at the demographics and look at the scores of the students. Like, what are they needing? What needs to be met? So there are 3 options with Mrs. Potter's situation that she could have gone with. So 1, go with the committee. So do as the committee wishes, be the autocratic leader that they're wanting, come up with a vision statement. Option 2 could be a compromise. She could come up with different statements, so maybe like 3 or 4, and then the committee puts in their inputs and they adjust it together. Or the third option, she could just refuse to be an autocrat leader and force the committee to work collectively. So option 1, some pros and cons. The pros, the committee stays happy. They get what they want, and they get to move the process along a little bit quicker. The cons, the principal does not feel supported. She feels like she's pushed around, and the vision lacks diverse input. Option 2, the committee and the principal meet in the middle for a pro, and they are also able to work together, so everybody kind of wins in a way. Cons, relationships could be altered, and the principal still comes up with some vision statements. Option 3, the pros are the principal stands up for her beliefs. The committee sees her as a strong leader. However, the cons are relationships, once again, could be altered. The committee can't move on, and even the superintendent may have to step into the situation. I believe the best option is option 2, a compromise. This gives everybody a chance to work collectively, and then everybody, like I said before, kind of wins in a way. And then the relationships can still hold together. Nobody's feeling like they're being pushed around. They can all work together. So how to implement option 2. First, I would have Susan Potter look at what other buildings have done to make their vision statements, look at their data, how was it turn out good or what went wrong, stuff like that. And then she can meet with Helen Burke and collaborate together. Talk about the information she found, come up with 3 vision statements together even, and then report to the committee. The committee shares their input, they can all rework the vision statement, and just move on the process with that. Some responses for the implementation, it could go 2 ways. Either Helen agrees or disagrees. If she doesn't agree with this option, she could turn to her brother who's on the school board. She could urge Potter to be autocratic, and she could go and involve the superintendent. If she agrees, she would work collectively with the committee and Potter. She could give her inputs for the vision statements, and everyone works well together, and there's no static in relationships. These are the standards that go along with the assignment, and these are my references. Thank you.